On Saturday, November 11th, 1987, the broadcast signals of WTTW and WGN, two local Chicago television stations, were hijacked, and a pirate signal was broadcast in their place. These events have come to be called the Max Headroom Pirating Incident, based on the Max Headroom mask worn by the pirate. To this day, the case is still unsolved. On the WGN 9 o'clock nightly news, the evening sports report was interrupted by this Max Headroom character. The signal ran for approximately 30 seconds until the Channel 9 technicians were able to override the transmission. This transmission was without audio, leaving many viewers generally confused as to what they had just seen.
Well, if you're wondering what happened, so am I.
However, the people of Chicagoland had not seen the last of the mysterious Max Headroom pirate. About 2 hours later, during WTTW's 11 o'clock broadcast of the show Doctor Who, he struck again. This time, Max used his airtime to personally attack WGN and the Tribune Company, as well as a few of its employees. Commenting on popular culture in the 1980s, Max continued by mocking the Pepsi product, the show Clutch Cargo, and the CBS network. The broadcast came to its finale when Max removed his pants and was spanked on camera with a fly swatter by a woman in disguise. Then, as quickly as the show had appeared on screen, Max vanished, never to be seen again.
And you have to understand that WGN is located at Addison and Western Avenue in Chicago, a couple of miles away from the Hancock Center where our signal was broadcast. And so we had a microwave transmitter at the WGN location that we shot the signal up to the top of the Hancock and then amplified it and broadcast it to the Chicagoland area. And basically what happened is somebody who had some technical knowledge about broadcasting was able to get a transmitter that he had closer to the Hancock than WGN's transmitter, and so he was able to override our signal.
The immediate reaction of the general public to the message broadcasted by the Max Headroom pirate was that of outrage.
There was some minor nudity involved in it, which I think was also upsetting to some viewers.
I got so upset that I wanted to bust the TV set. I really did.
Television viewers from all across Chicago were shocked, not only by the strange statements, but also by the indecent exposure they had witnessed. The incident drew widespread attention, and the peculiar story of the Chicago signal pirate was featured on the CBS Nightly News the following night.
In the Chicago area, Frank Courier reports on what they expected to watch last night and the moon over Chicago they actually saw. Broadcast engineers at two Chicago television stations and thousands of viewers are still puzzled today.
The hunt is on this afternoon for Chicago's video pirate.
Late last night, as followers of the British TV fantasy series Doctor Who watched an episode entitled Horror of Fang Rock, they were startled by this. A video pirate.
After the dust had settled, and it was widely understood that there had in fact been a pirating incident, the local FBI as well as the FCC set out to investigate. However, unlike previous cases of signal piracy, which had easily been solved, this one proved to be much more difficult.
There's a maximum penalty of $100,000, 1 year in jail, or both, depending on whether this thing continues or not.
The most prominent broadcast pirate, Captain Midnight, who on April 27, 1986, a year prior to the Max Headroom incident, interfered with HBS transmission by using a satellite to override their signal. The FBI and FCC were easily able to catch the culprit, a John R. McDougal, due to the necessity to use very powerful equipment to pull off his prank. Thus, his signal was easily triangulated and from there tracked back to his shop, where he sold satellites and had all the necessary equipment. The reason that the Max Headroom incident was so much more difficult to solve is due to the difference in the way that it was carried out. Unlike Captain Midnight, Max relied on a microwave transmitter, which uses considerably less power, is more easily accessible, as well as quite more difficult to triangulate. Additionally, the Max character was very close to the John Hancock building, as he required a line of sight to the receiver on the roof, meaning he could have carried out the broadcast from any number of apartment buildings surrounding the Hancock. There is a belief among many that the incident was not meant to be taken seriously and was simply meant to be a prank. Evidence to support this belief can be drawn from the broadcast itself, where the Max Headroom character carries out several seemingly rehearsed skits full of unsophisticated humor. While this may be the easiest way to write off the incident, looking a little deeper, we can see evidence to support alternate theories as to the motives behind the act, as well as the perpetrator himself. The theory that the Max Headroom pirate was attempting to make a social and political statement through his broadcast is one of the most popular speculations. In the video, the pirate can be heard criticizing Chuck Swirsky, a WGN reporter, as well as the rest of the world's greatest newspaper nerds. This statement directly attacked WGN and the affiliated Tribune Company, the publisher of the world's greatest newspaper. The Headroom imposter then continued to mock the Coca-Cola Company's new slogan, Catch the Wave, as well as the 1959 television series Clutch Cargo. At the time of the incident, the penalty for a signal piracy was $100,000 and a year in prison. It seems disproportionate that Max would take such a huge risk to execute a measly prank. Instead, his actions seem to support the idea that he was using his technical knowledge to critique American society in the 1980s. The recent cancellation of the Max Headroom science fiction television series in 1987 may have served as a possible motive for the signal pirate as well. In the Max Headroom series, the characters lived in a futuristic world that revolved around cyber technology. The show discussed topics such as privacy and the domination of television in modern society, as well as signal piracy. In this futuristic world, an incident of piracy like that of November 22, 1987 would have been punishable by death. It seems that whether the Max Headroom pirate intended to protest the cancellation of the show or not, he adopted the Max Headroom character in order to further criticize the media and television industry. The nature of the incident has also led to the plausible theory that perhaps the broadcast was an inside job. If it wasn't an inside job, it still might have been carried out by someone in the television industry to test or show off their technical skills, much like computer hackers do today. The choice of using the Max Headroom character can be seen as having a completely different meaning when we look at it from this perspective.
Max Headroom is interesting. You know, they talk about headroom is something that a photographer uses. It's kind of a term as to how much room there is at the top of the picture for the person's head. And if you look at old television shows, if you look at an old Johnny Carson, or if you saw the Edward R. Murrow movie, you'll see an enormous amount of headroom in the picture. And today, we pretty much rest the frame at the top of a person's head. And that's what normal television looks like to us. And so, I don't know, he was just using a term that is used among videographers and photographers, and he was talking about how much headroom there was in a picture, and he just incorporated that into what he called himself.
Since Max in 1987, there has not been another incident of signal piracy in the United States. He will forever be known as a mysterious man who hijacked two major networks in one of the largest cities of the United States and has never been caught nor convicted. Today, his message continues to spread via the internet, and people continue to speculate as to his identity and motive. At the same time, this incident serves as one of the greatest examples of the conflict over the waves that occurs in the television industry between technicians and hackers. In response to the Max Headroom incident, technicians have developed new technology to combat the increasing ability of everyday hackers, subsequently stopping potential signal pirates in their tracks. This struggle between the two conflicting ideas, hacker and television network, has thus shaped the development of the media industry and made it what it is today.